Welcome to English Conversation Cafe. Learn English through natural conversations.
Okay, so yesterday morning, completely normal, making coffee, I noticed something. I wasn't doing that thing, that whole find the English word, translate, double check process. I was just thinking in English, directly, like it was automatic.
Like the thought just arrived in English?
The thought just arrived. No translation, no delay. And I actually stopped there holding my coffee going, wait, is this it?
Did you get emotional?
I cried, Max, over my coffee. But here's the thing. That moment, that switch, that's exactly what we're covering today. And we are going to show you how to get there.
Because you can study grammar for years, memorize thousands of words, and still feel like English is something happening to you, not something happening inside you. Today, we're breaking that down.
The strategies, the mindset shifts, the habits that actually work. Stay with us. This is the episode.
Welcome to English Conversation Cafe. I'm Max.
And I'm Haley. And if you're new here, this is where two hosts have real, natural conversations to help you improve your English while you just listen.
Today's episode is for learners who feel like English is already fairly comfortable, but something still feels slightly borrowed, like you're wearing someone else's clothes.
Oh, that is the most accurate description of that feeling. Someone else's clothes, yes.
If that resonates, you are exactly where you need to be. And before we go further, we'd love it if you subscribed and gave this a like. It genuinely helps more people find the cafe.
Okay, let's talk about your brain.
So Haley, this morning's coffee revelation aside, when did you first realize that English was actually becoming your thinking language?
It was gradual and then sudden. You know that thing? Where something is changing slowly for a long time and then one day it just clicks all at once.
Say more.
So I was on the phone with my mom, speaking our first language, trying to tell her something funny from work. And I kept losing the word. Not in English, in my first language. The English phrase was right there, completely clear, and the other word just wasn't available.
That is such a vivid sign.
And my mom goes, "Are you okay? You're making no sense." And I realized, oh, the inner monologue has switched. English had quietly become the default lane.
Can we slow down on that for a second? The inner monologue?
Please.
So your inner monologue is the voice inside your head, that constant running commentary on your own life. What am I making for lunch? Did I reply to that email? Why did I say that weird thing in 2017?
The 2 a.m. greatest hits.
Exactly. And when I say thinking, I mean all of it. Planning, worrying, replaying conversations, rehearsing arguments you'll probably never actually have.
Okay, that last one is very specific.
But all of that internal chatter, for most learners, it runs in their first language. Even when they're speaking and working in English all day, the moment they're alone with their thoughts, they retreat.
Which means every exchange in English involves a hidden translation process. The message comes in, gets processed in your first language, a response forms there, gets translated back into English, and then comes out.
Every time, for every sentence.
And that is genuinely exhausting. No wonder people feel drained after a long English conversation. It's not the vocabulary, it's the constant, invisible translation work in the background.
And here's the thing worth sitting with. When that translation layer disappears, even just in brief flashes at first, the experience of speaking English changes completely.
It stops being a performance. It just becomes communication.
A lot of learners assume the translation is always going to be there, but it doesn't have to be. And that's what we're building toward today.
And for anyone listening who's been studying English for years, but it still feels foreign, that's exactly why we're having this conversation.
Because that feeling of English being foreign comes from the translation layer. Remove the layer, and English starts to feel like yours.
So how do you actually do that? How do you rewire the system?
The first mistake people make is waiting. I'll start thinking in English when my English is good enough. That day never comes, because the thinking is how you get good enough.
You don't wait to be a runner before you start running. You run to become a runner.
Exactly. And the most practical starting point, I tell learners this constantly, is narrating your day. Just in your head, in real time. I'm making coffee. The traffic is terrible. This meeting is going to be long.
That last one is universally relatable.
Right. But what you're actually doing is training your brain to produce English automatically, in context, without pressure. You're practicing the thinking process, not just the speaking output.
And it doesn't have to be complex. I see a cat. The cat looks annoyed. Honestly, same cat. That's completely enough.
That's enough. Because what matters isn't the sophistication of the thought, it's what language the thought is happening in.
Okay, I want to be honest about something. I used to hit a mental block in the middle of a thought, couldn't find the word, and I just abandoned the whole thing and switched back to my first language.
The rescue language. Yeah.
And every time I did that, it felt like I'd failed somehow, like I'd let myself down.
Here's the reframe, and I think this is a big one. A mental block isn't failure, it's data. Your brain is flagging a gap and saying, this is where the work needs to happen.
So instead of running from it,
You note it. You go find that word or phrase, and then you come back to that thought with the missing piece filled in. Suddenly, the block becomes a very personalized vocabulary lesson.
that is so much more effective than random word lists, because you're learning the words your own brain actually needs.
It's connected to a real thought you had, a real gap you experienced. That makes it stick in a way that passive studying never quite can.
It's yours, not just a word from a list.
And there's a compounding effect. Once you start thinking in English more regularly, you start noticing English more. You hear a phrase somewhere, and your brain goes, I've been missing that. I need that.
Your attention shifts. You stop being a passive consumer and you become an active collector.
The thinking practice makes you a sharper learner, not just a more fluent thinker.
And it changes how you consume English too. When you're thinking in English, you notice things differently. You start mentally collecting phrases you actually need.
Passive exposure becomes active absorption. Every podcast, every conversation, every show feeds back into the thinking. The whole process becomes self-reinforcing.
Okay, I want to get practical for a moment. Can we run a scenario?
I'm in.
Picture this. You're in a work meeting. Your manager turns to you directly and asks a question in English. Everyone is waiting, and your brain just goes completely white.
The freeze. I know that feeling well.
What is actually happening in that moment?
Multiple things at once. Processing the question, building a response, monitoring your grammar, worrying about your accent, and the brain just overloads.
And then absolutely nothing comes out.
So the solution, and this sounds counterintuitive, is to get smaller. Shrink the task. Don't aim for a perfect answer. Grab the first available English thought. That's a great point. Let me think for a second. The way I see it.
And those are phrases that fluent speakers use constantly. Nobody expects a human being to respond like they've pre-written it.
Unless you're a robot, which we are, allegedly.
What helped me enormously was what I started calling supermarket practice. I'd walk the aisles and just think out loud in my head in English about everything. I need pasta. Top shelf, obviously, because that is where they always hide it.
The pasta grievance, a universal experience.
But the magic was the pressure, which is 0. Nobody is waiting. Nobody is judging. I could generate English thoughts at my own pace, and I was building the habit of English as the language of thought.
Low stakes, massive repetition. You're building the mental pathways in a space where failure has absolutely no consequences.
And so when the real moment arrives, the meeting, the phone call, the unexpected conversation, the pathways are already there.
You've already done the reps. You've immersed yourself in the thinking process so deeply that the patterns are just available, ready to go.
The pasta aisle was your training ground all along.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Okay, I feel like we haven't touched something important yet. What about the emotional side of language? Because I think that's the piece most people completely overlook.
Yes, this is the one I always save for last, because I think it changes everything.
Talk me through it.
Most learners approach English as an analytical exercise. Grammar, structure, vocabulary lists. And that's necessary. But your first language isn't analytical for you. It's emotional. You learned it as a child, surrounded by people you loved.
It has emotional weight. English doesn't have that yet, for most learners.
Doesn't yet. But you can build it. And the fastest way is to use English in moments that genuinely matter to you. Not simulated practice dialogues. Real conversations about things you actually care about.
Because when a word lands in a moment that means something, it sticks. It becomes yours.
I remember the first time I truly understood the word overwhelmed. Not the definition. I'd known that for years. But I was going through a really hard period, and I told a friend, I just feel completely overwhelmed. And something locked into place.
There's such a difference between knowing a word and owning a word. And you start owning English when you use it in moments that actually matter to you.
And that emotional vocabulary grows when you stop protecting yourself from English in emotional situations. When you're frustrated, name it in English. When something makes you laugh, notice it in English. When something worries you, think it in English.
Because the moment you start feeling things in English, not just thinking things in English, that's when it truly becomes yours.
I actually encourage learners to keep a little emotional vocabulary list. Any word that landed with real feeling, you write it down. The context, the situation, why it hit.
Oh, that is such a good idea. Because those words carry personal history. No textbook can give you that.
Okay, let me pull the whole picture together, because I want this to be something you can actually walk away and apply.
Yes, please?
Narrate your day in English. Use mental blocks as vocabulary targets, not reasons to retreat. Practice in low-pressure environments. Attach emotional meaning to the language by using it in real, meaningful moments. And the last one,
Switch gears. Don't give yourself a translation escape route.
carve out English-only zones in your own mind. Specific times, your morning, your commute, your cooking, where you work through it in English, even when it's hard.
And when you hit a wall in those moments, you find a different word, a simpler phrase, a way to express it with what you have. That is the skill.
Fluency isn't about knowing every word. It's about navigating with what you have. That flexibility, staying in the language, working around gaps, that is what thinking in English actually trains.
And the timeline looks different for everyone. For some people, the shift starts in months. For others, it takes longer. But it always starts the same way. Small, intentional moments of choosing to stay in English.
One small decision at a time.
And that moment, the coffee moment, the "oh, it just happened" moment, that is available to everyone listening right now. It's not a talent, it's a habit. And habits can be built.
Before the cafe rewind, one question for you.
Right now, when you're alone with your thoughts, what language are you thinking in? Is it always your first language? Has it started to shift? Does it depend on what you're thinking about?
Tell us in the comments. We actually read every single one. and it genuinely helps us understand where you are in your English journey.
And there is no wrong answer here. If it's always your first language, that's exactly what this episode is for. One small step at a time.
All right, cafe rewind time.
6 expressions from today's conversation. Things we actually said, not words from a list. Let's break them down.
Number 1, inner monologue. We said, the inner monologue has switched. English has become the default lane. Your inner monologue is the private voice inside your head. The constant stream of thoughts only you can hear.
Example. I've been trying to keep my inner monologue in English, even when I'm just going about my normal day.
Number 2, mental block. We said, I used to hit a mental block in the middle of a thought. A mental block is when your brain suddenly freezes. You can't find the word. The sentence won't form. Everything just stops.
Example. I had the worst mental block during my job interview. I forgot the most basic vocabulary.
Number 3, catch yourself. We said, you note it. You catch yourself next time. To catch yourself means to suddenly notice a habit you're doing, usually something you're trying to change or improve.
Example. I keep catching myself translating in my head instead of just responding naturally.
Number 4, think out loud. We said, I'd walk the aisles and just think out loud in my head in English. To think out loud means to express your thoughts as they happen, without preparing or filtering them first.
Example. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. I haven't worked out my answer yet.
Number 5, immerse yourself. We said, you've immersed yourself in the thinking process so deeply that the patterns are just available. To immerse yourself means to go completely into something, to surround yourself with it fully.
Example. The best thing I did was immerse myself in English outside of class. Podcasts, conversations, everything.
And number 6, switch gears. We said, switch gears. Don't give yourself a translation escape route. To switch gears means to shift your mode, approach, or focus, often to something quite different from what you were doing.
Example. Okay, let's switch gears. We've been on vocabulary for a while. Let's talk about speaking confidence now.
6 expressions: inner monologue, mental block, catch yourself, think out loud, immerse yourself, switch gears.
Don't just recognize them. Use them this week.
Thinking in English isn't a destination. It's a direction. And the fact that you spent this time today, you're already heading that way.
Every narrated commute, every mental block you push through instead of running from, every time you catch yourself and stay in English, those are the reps.
It won't feel like progress in the moment. And then one morning, you're standing in your kitchen.
Holding your coffee, crying slightly.
And you realize the work was already done. That's the moment you're building toward right now.
If today gave you something useful, please share this episode with someone who's working on their English. It genuinely means everything to us.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. New episodes every week. Give this one a like. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps the cafe reach more people.
See you next time. Keep thinking.
Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation helped you understand real English better. Subscribe and join us for the next episode.